Roth Spiegelman is the female lead of the book Paper Towns, meant to have an air of mystery and to be reckless, spunky, and a girl boss in general. She represents an angsty, confused teen looking for her place in a world that just doesn't understand her. A paper town, as she calls it, referencing abandoned subdivisions and the like with empty houses and communities. Even though she's supposed to represent something that I should aspire to be, or at least admire, I absolutely hate Margo Roth Spiegelman, and in this video I will be explaining why. In the very beginning of the book, we are introduced to Margo, newly 18, reckless, queen of her high school, and with a secret obsessive lover, her old childhood friend Quentin, the main character. At the beginning of the book, Margo breaks into Quentin's house by climbing in through his window at night to tell him about how she's going on an adventure and she wants him to tag along. She then pressures him into stealing the car he and his mother share without his mother's permission to take her on a revenge rampage on her cheating boyfriend because she has been caught by her parents trying to take out their car. He clearly doesn't want to because he's a good kid and it's a school night, but his obsession with her and her pressuring him finally makes him agree to take her out on his crazy adventure. During this adventure, she takes pictures of her now ex-boyfriend in the nude and gives them to the main character as revenge fodder, which, first of all, is a crime, using illegally obtained nude photos against someone, and it's just ethically wrong. Scratching up one of her friend's cars for not telling her about her cheating boyfriend. She also places a dead fish in her car and does just a number of childish things bordering on vandalism and crime. Throughout this mission, she is constantly pushing Quentin to help her, despite his hesitation and his morals telling him not to. She forces him to break into another kid's house and take out one of his eyebrows for revenge for Quentin, since he was always bullied by this kid. But it is obvious that Margo does not care about justice for Quentin at all, but the fun of everything, the twisted ability to play God in the lives of her peers. Lastly, she forces him to drive her to break into a SeaWorld, which is an amusement park, gets them caught, and bribes the security guard to get away, leaving poor Quentin scared for his college prospects and other things because, he was just caught breaking into an amusement park, while she laughs off his worries unkindly. After finally letting him go back home, Margo disappears the next day. Her parents come over to ask if Quentin has seen her, along with the detective, because it turns out that Margo has a habit of running away, leaving clues and giving her family grief. The parents decide to change the locks on their doors and not look for Margo because she is now a legal adult and that they are tired of her manipulation and her attention seeking. The main character's therapist's parents try to paint them as narcissistic and abusive people who don't care for Margo, and it's their fault Margo acts out because of their lack of attention, but I don't see anything narcissistic about their actions. Margo constantly seeks attention from everybody around her, being reckless and making people worried and concerned. It would be very stressful and harmful to a family for the parents to be worried about their eldest daughter every few months because of her compulsive habit of running away for little adventures, living up to cope with both finding her and keeping her younger sister in check because she's undoubtedly a bad role model. Influence. Quentin does not tell her parents about their midnight adventure, but does tell the detective, who also concedes the same thing as Margo's parents. The main character follows Margo's crazy clues, one of which is hidden in his door frame, which means she had to break into his house once again to hide a clue for him to find. He almost gets himself arrested. He becomes isolated from his friends at several points in the story following her clues, and goes to so many dangerous places, like a warehouse, which we later find out has asbestos, and she doesn't include that in the clue, so the whole time he was breathing that in. And he eventually starts fearing that Margo has killed herself and he's going to find a body any day now, which would obviously be nerve-wracking and fear-inducing. Her last clue results in him having to skip his high school graduation to drive 19 hours because he is so scared that if he does not get there in time within that ultimatum, she is going to kill herself. And in the end, they find her alive. No apologies for ruining the graduations of Quentin and his friends who tagged along, no remorse, saying that she had to rip off her old life like a bandage. And she is ungrateful to the main character, even when he tells her he was scared sick that she had killed herself. She goes off on him and says that he is lying and just wanted the novelty of rescuing her, which is such a twisted mentality. She also lets her friend march off in anger and doesn't go back to apologize to her or Quentin's friends, instead talking only to Quentin, the boy who has idolized her for years and has her up on a pedestal. Why? Because Margo, though she would never admit it, basks in the attention. She basks in people thinking about her, talking about her, how strange and unique she is, how different she is from other people. She loves being invited to all the parties, doing what she wants, how she wants, and when she wants. She loves surrounding herself with people who will never say anything bad about her and never change their perfect image of her that they have in their minds. She leads people on, not just Quentin, but her friends and close ones. She talks of the town being pretentious and a paper town when she herself is a pretentious one, which she admits in a moment of self-reflection. Another added note is her first world problems mentality. Oh, my life is so horrible because everything is so boring. High schoolers aren't interesting and deep like in the movies. My mommy and daddy don't love me every single second of the day. She acts entitled to this love and support because of these problems. If anybody in this book were narcissistic, it would be Margo Roth Spiegelman, not her parents. In conclusion, Margo, in my opinion, is a selfish brat who cannot live without attention and validation, and I simply don't like her.